Good morning guys and girls, and welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be doing a noob's guide to gold farming. Let's go. So where do we start when you want to get into gold farming? And to be honest, we're going to have to outline a couple of the different types of farms that we can do. So number one on our list is transmog farming. And transmog farming is literally like running an instance or a farm, or basically an area where you can farm loads of mobs, like consistently kill, or you can find treasure chests, or doing that type of stuff in order to actually gain different types of armor sets or different types of items, so to speak, that are worth a lot of gold, but they are a looted item value thing, so they take a while to sell. Now, transmog farming is relatively used quite a bit, and at the moment in the expansion it doesn't sell all that much, but it's one of those ones where it does pay off in the long run. It's just going to take a while for you to sell, and it's not quick gold. I would probably say that's probably the best way to explain it. But transmog farming is a relatively good one to actually do if you want to just farm for like a week on end, doing every single dungeon or specific raids like AQ40. You could do Black Temple for the Blade of Wizardry. Those types of farms where you can farm for really high-end items. The most notable one is the glorious leg plates, and they sell for a lot of gold, like hundreds of thousands. I think now that everyone's worked it out, it has decreased in value, but it still sells for a hell of a lot because of the drop chance on this item. Now, there are loads of different types of farms, and I'm going to number a couple of them off. So, you can do Zul'Farrak and go for your Jade gauntlets and all that jazz. Jade items actually sell for quite a lot, not too much. You've got your Glorious, they are from vanilla, and same as the Jade ones actually, and they sell for a lot as well. You've got the Blade of Wizardry, and that one drops from BC items, but it gives the ability to have like the appearance of having a lightsaber, so you could be a Sith Lord if you really wanted to. To be honest, that's pretty damn cool. But at the end of the day, transmog farming is one of those ones where it will pay off in the long run. It is not instant gratification gold, and most people forget that. They think that, oh, I'm going to farm up a load of transmog and make 100,000 gold in an hour. You're not going to do that unless you are exceedingly lucky. Transmog will take a long time to sell in order to see the rewards, but it does actually pay off if you have a high supply of different types of transmog items. You just need to have a variety of different transmog items in order to actually make a consistent amount of gold with transmog. So farming up every single dungeon and every single raid, you would have a decent stockpile of transmog items in order to get into the transmog market. But I would recommend going hand in hand with TSM on posting them on the auction house. Now, the next type of farm that we have is material farms, and this is by far one of the most easiest farms to actually gain gold, and it is one of the ones I primarily use, as I use 1 hour a day for material farming. Now, material farms are like farming up titanium ore or saronite ore in Wintergrasp. You can go and do Whiptail in Uldum, and or you could even go for some of the high-end materials, which is go to the Molten Core, do not kill any of the raid bosses for goodness sake, and farm up all of the dark iron ore, then reset the instance, then go back in and mine again. These types of farms are relatively easy to do, and they're based on a gold per hour system because they sell relatively fast, as their materials and trade goods, they sell pretty damn fast in respect to transmog, as it is a long-term game, as materials is a more of a short-term game depending on what type of materials. If you are farming materials which are current content, you're near on going to sell it in the next couple of days and make a decent amount of gold. So if you farmed up 40,000 gold's worth of Riverbud, then you are most likely going to sell it near on instantaneously. I would say you're not going to sell it, I will cover my ass right now, I will say that actually instantaneously is probably not the best wording for saying that. So I would say it takes a couple to a few days to sell a few stacks of this stuff, because no matter how much you supply it with, people are going to undercut you and all that jazz. So you have to be on top of the ball in order to actually sell it fast, because so many people do this. You're going to have to camp your auction house a bit more than you would relatively use, but you can use pretty stacking. Now the next farm is a specific farm. Now specific farming is more or less farming for mounts or recipes or any of that type of thing. So in Draenor you can go and kill Not Karosh and get the Gar Nighthowl mount, and this averages on price, so check your realm. But the Gar Nighthowl is a specific farm because you're farming for a specific item. Specific farms are relatively easy to do because you know your objective, you know what you're going for, but it's mainly thrown up to RNG when you're actually doing it. So with the Gar Nighthowl, I know when I kill it, I'm pretty much going to get a Gar Nighthowl every single time. So I know that I'm going to get a decent amount of looted item value in order to actually do this. Now another specific farm that which you can do is by doing Gilnathus, or Gilnathus or something, or I say Gilnathus, and basically that is in the near on the Thundering Isle, kind of the top island of the Taolong Steppes, and basically what you do is you go around the island and there's a boss mob in Mr. Pandaria, and you can specific farm him for a battle pet which sells for a couple of thousand gold or 1,000 gold, depending on how many people are actually farming this guy. And this guy's like near on 100% drop chance. I'm pretty certain it is 100% drop chance for this battle pet. So you know that you can go to that farm, you can kill him once he's spawned, and you've got that. Specific farms can be actually put to mount farming as well, because you're specifically going in for one mount alone. So say you're going into Karazhan, you go in there and kill the first boss, which is the horse boss or the horseman, and you have a chance of getting that actual boss. But you have to bear in mind some specific farms are literally RNG based. They're not 100% like the Gar Nighthowl and Gilnathus. Some are actually fluctuating in certain things, because the other specific farm which I would say is the Pit of Sauron, and most people know what the Pit of Sauron is used for, and that's farming up the Battered Hilt. And the Battered Hilt has a really low drop chance, but you're specifically going in there only to farm up that one item. Now obviously I have done an optimized on that farm to get more gold, even if you don't get the Battered Hilt. But at the end of the day, that is a specific farm because you're going in for just that item. So the next farm that you can actually do is crafting, and this isn't really a farm. More or less, crafting is a way of using materials or trade goods, so to speak, in order to use your profession to actually craft potions, flasks. You can produce transmog armor, and then you can sell those on the auction house in order to reap a return. Now some things sell faster than others. Potions and glyphs usually sell faster than most other, than opposed to transmog in that respect, because it is more commonly used. That's why the prices are lower, but you can still make a lot of gold from selling multiple ones than selling a transmog piece. Now there is quite a lot of actually crafting ways of actually making gold, and specifically I do enjoy using my jewel crafting in order to craft mounts and actually posting them on the auction house, because I find that is an easier way to make a lot of gold. So crafting mounts is probably your best way of making gold, or producing traded materials such as consumables, such as potions, glyphs, all that jazz, even food. Cooking is an underutilized profession, but it actually produces a lot of return if you can actually be bothered to level it up and actually sell the buff food for raids, as people are always wanting raid food. So there's always a supply for raid food. So you can utilize that with fishing, and then use your cooking to actually cook what you've catched, and then double your gold, so to speak, and post that on the auction house. Gathering goes hand in hand with materials, and I just want to cover this one up really quickly. You have your fishing, you have your herbing, and your mining, and I'm pretty certain you have your skinning as well. And these are your gathering professions. These gather up materials in which you can sell. Predominantly I prefer fishing, as it's the lazy man's way of making gold, but if you really want to make a high-end return, it's most likely going to be your herbing or your mining. Skinning is usually a midway type one, unless there's like a specific item you're actually going to be farming for, such as the Cobra Scales in Burning Crusade, which actually still sell really well. Don't ever like knock that. That's a really good farm, like once you actually get them to sell. But mining and herbing is your bread and butter, so to speak, in actually producing a high return in gold. But that's me covering gathering professions. Now we're going to get into RNG right now. So what is RNG? RNG is a random number generation, and that's what it stands for. But at the end of the day, when we say it's RNG based, it means it has a drop chance. So it's not 100% that you're going to get that thing. So say we say it's 100% drop chance, then you know you can get that every time. But if they say it is a 50% drop chance, it's a flip of a coin whether you're actually going to get that per mob. Now RNG basis is, it generates a random number in order to actually say, will you get this item? And that is how loot tables are worked. So if you hit a specific number like 0.2, then you've got your Ashes of Allah, and that will drop for you. But if it doesn't hit that number, you won't get your Ashes of Allah. If you understand that, that's the basics of RNG. So if the random number generator hits 1 and, I don't know, the Gloves of the Fang hit 1, you're going to get the Gloves of the Fang. And that's the underlying basis of RNG. So when someone says, oh, it's RNG based, go check the percentage, or ask them what is the percentage of the drop chance on this thing, and see if it's actually worth or even viable to even do this farm. Because it could be like you have to kill 1600 mobs in an hour to gain a chance of actually doing it. So it's 1 in 1600. Or if it's 1 in 20, then you know that in 20 kills you're most likely going to get this thing. But you have to bear in mind that the random number generator is producing a random number. So after killing 20 of them, you still have a chance of not getting it, because it's a 1 in 20 chance on every mob of getting that item. So theoretically, if you hit 1 for the 1 in 20 every time on 20 mobs, you could get that item 20 times, seriously. But you could hit 5 and not get it at all for killing 100 if you really wanted. Now this is why people ask for, oh, praise RNGesus, because we need RNGesus to shine upon me. Because RNGesus is a pain in the ass, but it's what makes gold farming fun, and I personally love gold farming. Now we're going to cover another thing, and that is called looted item value. And looted item value in its entirety is how much is this specific item worth. So when someone says looted item value of 100,000 gold, and then they say, oh, it's 100,000 gold per hour looted item value, it means that you can get 100,000 gold's worth of items, but that's its looted item value. So it's not 100,000 gold in your pocket immediately. You've got that gold, it's yours forever. It's going to take some while. This is most commonly used in transmog farming, where they say 100,000 gold an hour, AQ 40. Instantly, those types of videos get a lot of views because it shows 100,000 gold. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to be a dick about it, basically, and say, oh, right, you did that, so you're lying. It's not, but looted item value is what it actually is, so to speak. So, say you picked up the glorious leg plate and it has a looted item value of 100,000 gold. It doesn't mean that if they put a transmog farm at 100,000 gold looted item value, that it's not 100,000 gold in your pocket. It's just what the item is worth, or what in that hour you have managed to farm up in that hour worth of gold. It's not specifically what it's going to sell immediately. It will usually take a long time to see the return on that investment of time. Now, not being funny, but looted item value is great for transmog farming. It's really, really handy, and don't ever get discouraged when you're doing transmog farming that your items will not sell immediately. I've got transmog items I've had for months that haven't sold yet, that are worth like 10 ton, but they will sell in the long run. It's just a long game thing. That's why we use looted item value to actually describe it and say how much this farm is actually worth, but you may not see the return immediately. That's literally what I want to talk about. Now, last on the idiot's guide to basically, or the noob's guide to gold farming, and that is your add-ons. And I've got 3 specific add-ons that I recommend you use, plus with a couple of others. Now, you want to use Gathermate or Gathermate 2 and use that one for your mining, herbing, fishing and all that jazz, and pretty much even finding treasures, so like the blasted rares farm. I made a video on that. Go back through my channel, you'll find it. And this one is a really, really easy farm to even do. And it just shows you where all the spawn points of each node is. So if you want to do gathering, so you don't want to waste your time going around in a really elongated circle, and just take a shortcut and make your farm a lot more efficient and effective, you can use Gathermate 2 or Gathermate 2. You know what I'm talking about. You just download both of those add-ons, and then you'd be able to see which ones are actually on your map. So you can actually have a route in order to take to actually farm up the ore or the herbs, so to speak. Now, the bread and butter for gold farming is TSM or Trade Skill Master. Now, I haven't specifically done a guide on it, but I do reckon that Bregvids does the best guide on TSM. He actually is a bloody genius when it comes to TSM, and that's my personal opinion. If you don't agree, you don't agree. But at the end of the day, I think he's bloody good at it because he makes a lot of gold. But TSM, hands down, go check out his video if you haven't. He'll give you an underline on how it actually works and all that jazz. But TSM will automate pretty much the posting process on the auction house for you and help you get the maximum amount of gold if set up correctly. So that being the case, that is TSM or Trade Skill Master. Now, if you're farming specific items only, there is another add-on which you can use, and that is Auctionator, and then you can use this one to just post those specific items, so you don't have to faff around with TSM setting up groups and all that jazz. You can just literally bung it on, checks the price, sees who's got the other thing on the auction house, and it sets it for that price, or so just a little bit lower than them. so you're able to compete with other people, and it's just one of those ones where it's just really, really easy to use, and it doesn't actually affect your system that much. Now, actually going with that, I would actually say use the add-on, the Undermine journal, to give you values already. So if you post a specific item that isn't on your auction house and you have no data on it from Auctionator, then it will give you a value of what it's actually worth based on the market value, region value, all that jazz. So you'll be able to post it on the auction house and you'll be able to get a decent amount of gold for it without it being a complete waste of time, or you posting it for an insane amount of gold and it just won't sell. But that being the case, guys, that is the Noob's Guide, or the Idiot's Guide to Gold Farming. Tell me what you think on this, because I really did enjoy this. I would like to do like an intermediate version and then expert version, all that jazz, so I wouldn't mind doing that. It's just one of those ones where I've just done off of a whim. I was just like, you know what, I really would like to do this type of video. So it's a bonus video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making this, and it was just one of those ones where I've just done it on a whim. So that being the case, guys, have a lovely rest of the day. And yeah, it's just take it easy. Now, I hope you like this video, guys, and if you want to see more like this, please feel free to give this video a like, or if not, if you're new, obviously, to gold farming, you can subscribe, or if you're already a gold farmer, then subscribe anyway. But that being the case, guys, have a lovely rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video. Take it easy.